Life in Japan is not all sunshine and rainbows. Trust me, I would know because I freaking lived there for a whole summer. And today, I'm going to be talking about how similar anime is to real life Japan. So make sure you watch the whole video because I think you're going to be pretty surprised. Alright, so I'm going to run down how this video is going to work. So basically, I'm going to be talking about some anime stereotypes and I'm going to compare how similar or different they are to real life Japan. And let me just say, I was kind of surprised by how similar some things are in Japan to the anime. For example, in anime you got cafes on every corner, freaking maid cafes and convenience stores everywhere. In real life Japan it was pretty similar. There's cafes everywhere. We had maid cafes, otter cafes, dolphin cafes, freaking probably crab cafes, and even old granny cafes. We had it all. And let me also say, all my views in this video are coming from living in the Kyoto/Osaka area. So if you go to a different part of Japan, like Okinawa, Tokyo, whatever, it's going to be a little bit different, but it's going to be pretty similar because it's all still Japan. And let me just get right into it with my first category, which is stereotypes about Japanese high school. So I attended a Japanese high school for part of my trip, and while the school had some after-school clubs, competitive sports teams, and school uniforms, it was not like Haruhi Suzumiya or any other high school anime. I'm sorry to break it to you. For one, Japanese schools don't allow you to have these crazy hair colors like you see in the anime, so that means there's no girls with pink and blue hair. It can only be black or your natural hair color. In addition, the school uniforms weren't the little gooner ones you see online. They're actually pretty normal. The boys had to wear a collared shirt and nice pants, and the girls just wore this black dress uniform thing. Now, a big reason I think a lot of you might want to go to Japanese high school is because you think you're going to get all the ladies. Now, let me tell you, there were a few people in my study abroad program who were like this. They were there just to try to get a Japanese girlfriend, and guess what? When they went in with that mentality, they got no one. Because if you're weird, who's going to want to be around you? But yes, this stereotype is kind of true, because a lot of the students, both girls and boys, were interested in us just because we were from America. So I guess some of the girls just saw us as more attractive because we look different from the average Japanese boy. But this is going to be the case in any country, because think of all the dudes in American high school who freak out when a German exchange girl shows up. So yeah, in that regard, as long as you ain't absolutely chopped, the Japanese girls, they're gonna kinda like you and give you attention. But please don't go to Japan just to try to get a girl, I'm begging you. Another big Japanese high school misconception is these Japanese clubs get all this money from the school. It's actually the complete opposite. In the school I went to, many of the clubs had to share the same gym, and that gym was divided into smaller sections for ping pong, kendo, volleyball, whatever else. On top of that, many of the students had to pay for their own equipment, such as a kendo uniform, extra ping pong paddles, and like volleyball shoes. But that isn't to say these clubs aren't fun to be a part of. I did the kendo club while I was there, and it was really cool. All the kids in the club were absolutely insane at kendo, and they definitely went easy on me so I could win a few times. Just look at this insane clip of me right here, taking down the kendo master. Oh yeah, and also, the most broke club in the school by far is the sumo club. All they got is this tiny little dingy shack with a dirt floor and no AC, and it's got these little windows for air to come in, and that's it. Come on, bro, you couldn't even lend them a few dollars. It's not even like they have a uniform to pay for. But yeah, Japanese high school clubs, they're really fun. They just ain't that rich. Now for my last Japanese high school misconception, I'm going to talk about actual class. Now, my thought process was, since this is an Asian country, they're going to take school so seriously, since that's a pretty common thing among Asian countries. But most of the kids in my class did not care at all. One of my buddies I was partnered up with told me he just sleeps in class all the time and never even pays attention. So he was just yapping to me about Japanese slang, I was telling him American slang, and here the teacher is like 5 feet away from us teaching about Japanese literature. But she never stopped us. We were just yapping the whole time, cutting up, making jokes. It was pretty chill, but honestly, I respect him for sleeping in class because Japanese literature, that junk, was boring. I also barely understood anything the teacher said because she talked way too fast. So if you go to Japanese high school, don't worry, you can just sleep the whole time. Now I want to move on to my next category, which is stereotypes for Japanese home life. I stayed with a Japanese family during my stay, and they were the nicest people ever. So much so, I plan to keep in contact with them for many years. So the family I was with had a mom, a dad, and 2 kids, both in elementary school. And the first stereotype I want to cover, and the most important, is that you had to take off your shoes inside a Japanese house. Yes, bro, you absolutely have to do this, because if you forget, sorry, buddy, they're gonna deport you immediately. It happened to one of the guys in my program. It was crazy. Another kind of misunderstanding is that many Japanese houses don't have those tatami mat rooms like this that you use for like drinking tea or inviting guests over, just because it was a waste of space, it was really expensive, and most modern day Japanese houses are a lot smaller, and there's just not the space for it, honestly. So unless the house is like really old, they're not gonna have one of those rooms. It's gonna be pretty similar to like the Western houses. The only major difference between like a Japanese and a Western house is that the houses are just so much smaller. I lived in the suburbs of Osaka, and while there is a lot of land out there, the houses still are pretty tiny. According to Google, the average house size for Osaka is 1,000 square feet, compared to somewhere like Houston in the US, where the average house size is 2,000 square feet. Now, I'm gonna touch on some of the dinner in an average Japanese home. No, we did not eat ramen and chicken katsu every night, but the stereotype of Japanese moms making the best food ever is absolutely true. My host mom, shout out to her, she can make absolutely anything. Honestly, looking back, she could have made a piece of cardboard taste good. She was just that good at it. Like, there's this one night we had some raw eggplant and fish, and I was thinking, no way this junk is going to taste good. But it actually tasted really delicious, and I asked for it again. So yeah, most Japanese ladies, they can cook you anything. Alright, and now moving on, I'm going to talk about some misconceptions about broader Japanese life. And these are a little bit darker, so hang tight. Firstly, everyone is polite in Japan because they want to be. No, this is only partly true. Maybe about half of the people in Japan are actually polite. The others just do it because they have to. But trust me, if you mess up around them, their real alpha side is going to show. For example, I was on the train one morning and it was super packed. If you know the morning rush hour, you know it's terrible. So I couldn't keep my balance on the train because I had nothing to hold on to. And about 20 minutes into the ride, we hit a big bump and I accidentally ran into the guy in front of me, and he just turned around and gave me the meanest look and mumbled something under his breath. This happened in my first week in Japan, and it really stuck with me at first, but trust me, it doesn't bother me anymore. Another example is I was walking down the stairs into the subway, and I had just gotten groceries and they were in my backpack, and then like an idiot, I miss a step and land face first all the way down the steps and make this super loud noise because I had this like water bottle with me. So I'm just laying there, my wrist is hurting and stuff, and I got a crowd of people just standing around me giving me these looks like, bruh, I did not do it on purpose. And no one even asked if I was good or not. The only one who said something was this old lady, and she just said I scared her, and then she just walked away. But yeah, a lot of people in Japan are nice, don't get me wrong, but there are some ones that are fake nice, and if you do the wrong thing, the beast is gonna unleash. Japan is super safe and crime doesn't exist. Yeah, this is pretty accurate, especially in the Kyoto/Osaka area. Life around there, especially out in the country, is so safe and quiet. This might not be the same for some places in Tokyo, and I'm sure there's more crime in the red light districts and all that kind of stuff, but for most of Japan, it's pretty safe. Even the so-called dangerous parts in Japan are a walk in the park compared to cities like Atlanta and Chicago in the US. Because, trust me, the homeless people in Atlanta, they're actually insane. Like, you just gotta see it for yourself. It's like they're trained there by the CIA to be the most, like, sneaky, tricky homeless person ever. They'll scam you out of your money in like a heartbeat. It's insane. It's insane. But yeah, even though there isn't much crime in Japan, there still is, because there's a lot of wanted posters around my city, and it had like these serial killers on it, like the Japan's most wanted list. It was kind of crazy. But for the most part, it's pretty safe in Japan. You'll be alright. Romance in Japan is pure and wholesome. Not true. It's not like the anime make it out to be. Many Japanese men and women are not loyal at all. Cheating is so normalized in Japan, especially for those under 30. So if you get a Japanese girlfriend and go back to America and date her long distance, you're cooked and you're probably going to get cheated on. I mean, I'm not speaking for everybody, but studies show that a lot of Japanese girls cheat. There are loyal girls and guys in Japan, obviously, but it just seems easier and more normalized to cheat than to be loyal and wholesome. Also, a lot of relationships in high school and college in Japan are just for fun and not committed at all, but I guess it goes for anywhere in the world. School life in Japan is all friendship and fun. This one I'm going to say is half and half, because on one hand, a lot of Japanese classes are close and this leads to strong connections, but on the other hand, there's a lot of bullying that goes on in school. So much so that there's a term in Japanese called ijime, which roughly translates to relentless bullying. For example, at one of the Japanese schools I visited, I went to class there and I was partnering up with these Japanese boys and they were just trolling me the whole time, speaking in super fast Japanese they knew I couldn't understand. And it was low-key like so overwhelming because I was already nervous to be there and they were just being kind of mean. So then the main like leader of the group, he wanted to do an arm wrestle against me to like try to assert his dominance. And we did it and I won that junk so easily. Those Japanese guys were so weak. And then I did the other guy and beat him, and the other guy and beat him, and then I just felt my aura increasing in the class and I became like the leader of the entire class and all the girls and guys worship me in class. So that's what you got to do. Work culture isn't that bad. This is probably the most wrong conception on this entire list because the work culture is hands down the worst part about Japan. Long hours, unpaid overtime, and little vacation time are all common in many Japanese companies. Many people become depressed due to their jobs and just drink all the time to ease their mind. This leads to situations like this where there are these salarymen who work sometimes over 80 hours a week, passed out drunk on the streets. This is due to Japan's nomikai culture, where one is expected to go out and drink with your boss after work. This leads to even less time that these men get with their families and a worsening mental state. And all these mental problems many Japanese people face leads to my last and darkest point, which is mental health issues are rare. No, in fact, many Japanese people suffer with mental health issues and are not treated because this is something that is not really taken seriously. Like I mentioned before, the mental state of many Japanese salarymen are in the gutter. Many are depressed, empty, and feel hopeless. It's to the point now where many men commit suicide because they feel there is no way out of their job or situation. In fact, on one of the worst days of my trip to Japan, my train line was shut down because a man had killed himself on the tracks only a few minutes before. The worst part is, many people just saw his death as nothing more than an inconvenience, because apparently it's just a common thing here. Just hearing people's reaction to this guy's death just made me angry. Everyone's just annoyed that they're going to be late for work and not the fact that someone just died in front of them. Okay, yeah, that was kind of a heavy one to end on. Let's talk about anime stores in Japan. They were pretty cool except for that 18+ section. If you go there, you just disgust me. Me and my roommate went in there to check out some stuff because we were curious, and I'm not the same person I was before. There's a lot of really disgusting stuff. So if you go to Japan, check out the anime stores. Just avoid the 18+ curtain. No! Please, get it off my screen! Get it off my screen now! No!